Many questions on Manchester United midfielder, now with Baleba deal hitting a wall because Brighton want to keep the player. If Manchester United can go for Morten Hjulmand, midfielder from Sporting, obviously Ruben Amorim knows the player so well. So he's a player who's always been appreciated by Amorim. But there are 2 points. First point, Sporting don't want to sell other top players after losing Viktor Gyökeres this summer. So it would be a tough and difficult deal to do. Second point, Manchester United at the moment have not started concrete talks, real talks for Morten Hjulmand. They are informed about the situation because it's a player who's always been in their list, one of the players they've been following for sure. Well known by Ruben Amorim, and that's obviously a point, but at the moment they have not advanced in club-to-club talks, so they've not started concrete negotiations for Morten Hjulmand for several reasons, because they were focusing on Baleba, because they still wait to understand what kind of player they really want to sign with Baleba now not being available for this summer. I remind you on Baleba, guys, there is an idea to attack again in 2026, so find my video here, my previous video here on the channel. So let's see what happens. For sure Hjulmand will be interested in a move to Manchester United, but Sporting need to be respected. Sporting want to keep the player, and so will not be an easy one. Let's see what Man United will decide.
Premier League football back. It kicked off with a bang as well. Fantastic game actually at Old Trafford. I think we saw a significant improvement from Manchester United compared to last season. Disappointing result, but certainly, Glenn, I think the performance will please Ruben Amorim and the Man United fans. Yeah, without doubt. I think that was one of my major worries going into the season, is that all this newfound optimism around Old Trafford, the first goal that goes in, that fragility might just rear its head again, but it didn't. They remained positive, and I think they were probably the better team. Loads of positives to take, but ultimately it is another loss for Ruben Amorim. Absolutely. You covered the game yesterday, Leroy. What did you make of it?
Well, I thought United overall were the better side, and they deserve to get something out of the game. Arsenal did what they've done for many years. They got the goal and then they just enjoyed defending it. And I thought they'd show a little bit more. It's early in the season, but well done to Arsenal for getting the 3 points. But also, well done for Man United. The integration of the new players, I thought, was a real positive, even though they got nothing out of the game. Yeah, I think everyone's eyes were drawn to the opening selections of the two managers. Who would they select? Who would they pick? Lots of new signings at both clubs. These are the teams that they went for. These are the formations that we were given pre-match. Actually, as it turned out, Leroy, Cunha played more through the middle and Mount was that inside 10 on the left-hand side, wasn't he? Yeah, and I don't know about you, but when I saw that, Matt, I thought, Mount is going to play a kind of false 9 position and kind of do a job when United didn't have the ball on Zubimendi, because Zubimendi's so good with that first pass forward. And so it surprised me that he was out on the left and Cunha was in that central area. Yeah, definitely. But I think on a more of a positive note, Cunha and Mbeumo just give that running going forward for Manchester United, that exuberance. A worry for me a little bit, I think, moving forward is Fernandes and Casemiro, especially when Fernandes likes to drift forward at moments. Can Casemiro, has he still got the athleticism to be able to be a protector of that back 3 or 4? Well, last season there was lots of issues with the Man United team, wasn't there? Certainly scoring goals was a problem. 44 they got last year, so you can understand why they've brought in 3 forward players. But they had issues in goal and they had issues in midfield. Wow. Those two yet to have been They've still got issues in goal. And they've still got issues in midfield as well, haven't they? So there's still a couple of positions that you would expect maybe some movement really at Old Trafford in the next couple of weeks. Well, they've been strongly linked to a couple of players. I think Baleba's been hotly linked, and so has Donnarumma. Whether they get either of those, but if they do, they're looking more like a Manchester United side that can compete, aren't they, Leroy? Yeah, absolutely. And also, I must say, you could see the system that he wanted to play. It was so defined. I thought the back 3, Shaw, De Ligt and Yoa were outstanding. And it was a defined back 3. The amount of times they got the ball and the wing backs were high up the pitch. You could see what Amorim was trying to do, and I thought they implemented that really well. And Ruben Amorim, he was very vocal when he first took the job, wasn't he? He would have preferred to take it in an off-season, and you can see why now. Yeah, absolutely. No Højlund in the squad yesterday. Everyone thought that maybe Sesko would start the game. He started on the bench. As we said, Cunha through the middle as a false 9, if you like. It's a position where he can play. Yeah. What do we think of his performance? I thought it was outstanding. I thought he looked like he'd been in the Man United shirt for many, many years. He just seemed to... He wore the number 10 shirt, his touch and what surprised me was his running power as well. But he was just absolutely brilliant. I thought Mbeumo was dynamic as well, but I thought he was the standout performer. What do you think, Ray? Yeah, I think they've lacked a ball carrier, and Cunha provided that. We see that he played in the false 9. Personally, I think it would have been better if they had an out-and-out 9 that was trying to break that line, always get forward and then create space for your number 10. But ultimately, as far as Premier League debuts go at Old Trafford,
it was a really, really positive one. And I mean, they've both pulled the Manchester United shirt on, and they look very comfortable with the way.
But this is the issue. This is the issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you've got a real number, an out number 9,
this is what the point
they get in the box, don't they? Cunha wants to come to the ball. He's a number 10, really. He wants to come and get it. He wants to go and run at people. Wants to take shots from distance. Wants to take people on. He's not a natural at getting himself in the box. Yeah, that's a problem.
It doesn't come naturally to him to get between the sticks and occupy the centre backs. Really, he should be in front of the Arsenal centre back and looking for that front post ball, and then opening up that edge of the box space for, I think, is it Mason Mount arriving there, and it's a knock-on effect, and it's beneficial for everyone on the field. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. Comes to nothing.
Yeah. The thing is, at Wolves, all these goals, most of his goals scored from outside the box.
Yeah.
You know, those positions he picked up. So they need to introduce that striker to create more space for him on the edge of the box. But they did this really well, United.
Yeah.
In transition, they got forward early.
This time Cunha does get in the box. So I think Dalot gets down the outside. Now you've got Cunha in the middle of the box. Where's everyone else? Where else is the support? Who's joining?
Yeah, you have to have more than that. Yeah, you need to have somebody getting across that near post and someone just picking out the penalty spot for the cutback.
Yeah, and I think that will come with a bit more bravery, understanding the system more. I mean, you really want somebody. So if Cunha's going to hit the front post, so you want somebody crashing the back post. They've got the edge of the area covered with one. They're probably like a couple round the edge of the area and pin that ball in there. But a better position from Cunha. In this build-up, and this is what Manchester United needed a little bit more of.
Definitely saw the wing-backs higher up, though.
Yeah.
You saw Dalot there. The two crosses have both come from Dalot, going on the outside of Mbeumo. So we saw, I think, the wing-backs much higher up in this game than we saw last year.
I think the distances were excellent. Yeah, you know, and when I say distances, and I'm talking about the back three, giving them being 15, 20 yards in front of the back three. So when it did go into Mbeumo, it was quick. Dalot could catch up the play, and they could interchange passes very quick. This is a really good example. Dogu, you know,
starting position, how high is?
Look at the space he's got. And then you've got three players trying to get in the box. Again, he couldn't really cross it in the box. He's really unlucky, you know, that he didn't hit the target.
I think just having support up there with him, we've seen the three players up with him. I think there was moments at Manchester United last year where people weren't getting forward. Right here we can see 5 forward in high positions, making things happen.
But there's a line of 5, and they're all trying to get forward, but are they trying to get in the box? This is a big issue for me. So I think when we play it on, and they go down the right-hand side, and Mbeumo looks to cross, he's looking to cross the ball. But he can't really cross the ball because there's nobody breaking the neck to get into the box, is there? He tries to play that ball down the side. This is the front three.
Yeah.
So Mount, Cunha and Mbeumo. In the first half, all their touches. In the first half, not too many, well, none inside the opposition 6-yard box. There's a few inside the box, but not loads.
There's none within 12 to 15 yards of the Arsenal goal, and that ultimately is a problem, and that is why eventually I think Cunha will probably start on the left.
Yeah.
And then we'll see more of the new addition in Sesko.
I think what we saw, though, is in Mbeumo and Cunha, 2 players who've got the personality and the character to play for Man United. They looked to take responsibility, didn't they? Cunha especially looking to drive and take people on.
And I think the rest of the players might have been used to it. Because all last season, the ball will go up there and they'd be a little bit hesitant about getting forward. But now, Cunha and Mbeumo both have got their first games under their belt at Old Trafford. They can see that Mbeumo, the first thing he's going to do is look to turn forward.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where Cunha was turning forward towards goal, and you think, wow, how did he do that? And we'll come across that later. So for other players, maybe their trigger's got to be a little bit earlier. While that ball's on its way to the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo, they've got to get on their way so they can catch up play and get beyond them, Glenn.
Yeah, I think probably last year with Højlund up there, it wasn't sticking so much. And Xerxes, they weren't gaining control high up the pitch. Now there's going to be more belief, especially for Dogu and Dalot, the wing backs, that the ball is going to stick and they can commit earlier and get up the pitch higher. And I think also, when you get higher up the pitch, you need balance at the back. Yeah. I really like Luke Shaw, the left centre-back, because he's agile, he's comfortable in stepping in. So is Lenny Yoro.
Yeah.
So I just think...
And comfortable going into those wider areas
Exactly that, yeah. So they can cover down the channels, but they can also step into traffic. I just think the balance around Manchester United is much better.
Absolutely. There's a lot of talk about a number 9. Old Trafford needed a number 9. Gyökeres was someone that was linked because obviously Ruben Amorim coached him previously. He ended up going to Arsenal. We'll have a look at his performance a little later as well. But Sesko, on the bench, not been in the building too long, so maybe you can understand why he didn't start the game. But he got half an hour. What do we think of his performance?
Well, people have been talking about Benjamin Sesko for the last couple of years, and he's all about potential. He's a great athlete. He looks the part. He's quick. He's
That's
mobile.
Getting in the box, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really...
That's that desire to get into the area.
And look, Glenn, he just occupies people, you know, and it takes the pressure off everybody around him as well.
Yeah, well, when we've highlighted Cunha for not going in there naturally, we can see Sesko right away naturally goes in between the sticks, occupies the centre-backs and therefore opens up more space and gives the team options to cross the ball. We can see a good hold-up play. This is what you want from your number 9. Keeps the ball alive, recycles it, and look, still trying to get in there. Doesn't come to him, but he's always trying to create an angle or give an option.
And what I also liked about him, Glenn, all his runs were within the width of the 18-yard box. He was never running out towards a corner flag. You see now
he's got that link play, but look at him now. He's got a desire, hasn't he, to get himself into the box.
Getting in the box, getting towards the goal.
Look how many times he makes them run, little darts.
3 or 4 runs. But he ends up centre of goal. And if you end up centre of goal, and you know this more better than most, Glenn, you're going to get opportunities.
Yeah, well, I mean, when the ball's coming, I mean, listen, we look at Mbeumo, he's played with the number 9 ever since he's been in the Premier League, an out-and-out number 9, and we highlighted him looking to cross the ball. Yeah. There's no one in there. Sesko will give him that option to be able to cross the ball.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean by a bit more comfortable Manchester United. Lenny Yoro just stepping in, athletic, young centre-back, a modern-day centre-back. This
bit ambitious.
Yeah, a little bit excited. It's his first game at Old Trafford. I mean, you can give him that. He wants to make something happen in the game. But all in all, I think it was a really positive performance.
I know a lot of people have already talked about his attitude and how he trains and how he goes about his business. He's the first one in the training ground, the last one to leave it. He wants to learn. He's asking questions all the time of the coach, Ruben Amorim, what he wants from him. I think there's an appetite to get better and improve as well.
And I think that's why United have gone for him, because there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
You know, and he doesn't have to hit the ground running. And maybe that's why he's kept him on the bench.
Does he not have to hit the ground running, though?
Well, I think that's
because he probably does, doesn't he?
Man United fans, get him on the pitch, get him playing. But Ruben's saying we want to keep the pressure off the player. You know, and I think it was a good move. A lot of Man United fans saying, oh, he should have started. But for the player, and in terms of his integration, his long-term integration into the side, I thought it was the absolute right decision. Give him a little bit of time, and it keeps the pressure off him. OK,
Man United yesterday, compared to Man United last season, I think it's fair to say there was an improvement. These are the numbers. These are the difference between Ruben Amorim in charge last year compared to... No, sorry, this is this game yesterday. Yeah. This is the game yesterday. So United were much better in terms of the numbers, weren't they, than Arsenal. 22 shots to 9. The possession was really interesting as well, how United dominated the ball yesterday. That was a bit of a surprise. Maybe we didn't expect that. And I think when you get beat at the weekend, you're disappointed. But when the dust settles, you have a look at the stats and you think, if we can keep those stats up throughout the course of the season, more often than not, we will win games. I mean, 22 shots, asking questions of a really resilient Arsenal team. And they pushed Arsenal. They did. What did we learn then yesterday? What we learned is because United had 61% of possession, they can then defend with that defined 3. Last season, when they didn't have possession, the stats were poor. So this is the comparison then. This is the United yesterday compared to the average under Amorim last season. More fast breaks, more shots from fast breaks, more shots on target, more touches in the opposition box. The passing was better, more duels won, faced less shots and had more possession. And everything was better. Yeah, and that 54% possession means that then they were playing more with the 5. You know, when Arsenal had possession and pushed them back, playing more with 5, and they didn't have the ammunition to get forward. But now they've lifted that, and he wants more possession, Glenn. He wants to control games. That means they can get on the front foot, win the ball high up the pitch. And that one, Jules 1, is about a change of attitude as well. Yeah, front foot. I think that picture of him was taken after he saw those stats. Because even though he did get beat yesterday, he'll be a much happier manager. We saw the stats, we saw the numbers. The only number that really matters is Man United 0, Arsenal 1, and it came from a goalkeeping mistake, didn't it? Bayern Deer should do better, should be stronger. I mean, you've been a number 9 up against a goalkeeper, standing in his way, trying to block him. Well, he's caused a problem for himself every time he starts a Premier League game now. Yeah. Because everyone will be standing on him. They'll be making it very difficult for him. Listen, I feel for him to a certain extent because it's a mismatch. Yeah. Saliba on Mount. Mount has got to do much better. He's got to hold his defender. He's got to protect his goalkeeper. And we can see here, all of a sudden, he's in a fight. And when this ball comes off, he doesn't have the time to correct himself, to set himself to punch. And it's a flailing arm. It's an unsteady start. Surely he should be going with his right hand anyway, no? Do you know when I watched that, he didn't even expect the contact. Yeah. No. And you know, as a goalkeeper, you've got to be ready. You've got to make sure you're nice and solid. Expect the contact, get your arms up,
Then you
I think even his starting position, he's starting like this, he's looking out towards the corner. Like, you've got to be feeling to see if something's coming, and then you can move your legs and you can move away and create that space.
This is a problem.
Jump back in.
Set-piece goals for Manchester United. This is last season. There's only Wolves and Southampton conceded more from set pieces. It's clearly an issue. Is it simply a goalkeeping problem, or is it a team problem?
I think this instance yesterday is very different to what we're talking about here, because that was an individual error yesterday, wasn't it? I think we can all safely say that. It wasn't a knock-on effect of bad defending. It was an individual error that you can account for, and you can kind of say, listen, we need to protect him more. So I expect that, like all the other stats we've seen already there, to get much better this season.
So, if you're a manager, Man United manager, after that performance, a great performance, but a mistake has cost you, getting anything out of the game, who would you start in the sticks next week? Brian Deere or Onana? Glenn?
Well, I might be in the transfer market, Leroy.
Let's do that.
You haven't got that option at the moment. You haven't got that option at the moment.
You haven't got that option, but who would you start?
Who would I start? I would probably start Onana, just because he's more accustomed to the people playing in front of him. He's got better relationships with them, and physically, I think he's stronger.
Yeah, I would as well. I'd start Onana. What about Arsenal? What about their performance? What did we learn about Arsenal yesterday that we didn't know already? Because we know they're pretty good at the back, defensively strong. We know they're good at set pieces, scored from a set piece, but didn't play as well as perhaps we would have expected them to.
They didn't play as well. Bukayo Saka had hardly anything happen for him in the game, but they have the ability to just churn out a result. And I'll tell you what we learned about them. Their squad has got depth. And I tell you what, the people coming off the bench, I think, I forgot about him. I forgot about him. They were all starting last week. Moreno came on with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Their strength in depth was absolutely outstanding. What we also learned was that Martin Odegaard's maybe back to his best. And
terrific, wasn't he?
And with Zubimendi getting on the ball, find the first pass, I think this might have given them a new dimension.
Yeah. We said that Man United needed a number 9.
Yeah.
Arsenal, everyone's been saying for a couple of seasons, they need a number 9. They need an out-and-out striker. They've gone with Gyökeres. Now, you played with Victor Gyökeres at Brighton.
Yes.
Did you expect him to be in this position when you played with him at Brighton? And the development that we've seen from him and the standards and the where he's reached in his career really now?
Listen, I think it's very hard to judge a striker when he's 18, 19 years old. There's only the really special ones that burst into the Premier League and cause a stir. He's gone away, though. He's developed his game. He's proved himself at Championship level. He's proved himself over in Portugal. And now he's got his opportunity in the Premier League, in arguably the best league in the world. I have no worries about him. Robustness, his body type. I think he's a really strong, physical young man. My only concern with Victor is, if they can find an even keel of Arsenal suiting him and him suiting Arsenal. Obviously, I think if we saw him on the other side yesterday in a Ruben Amorim team when we highlighted Cunha, if he was that constant runner, he'd have probably got a few more opportunities. But listen, he's getting criticised today. He didn't have a great game, but neither did his team. His team didn't play very well going forward.
Does it take time? Does it take time?
It takes time to build those relationships. I have no doubt he will score goals for Arsenal. It's almost impossible not to when you're surrounded by Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka. Chances will be created. I think he's getting a bit of a rough deal today off the back of an Arsenal resilient performance.
Gyökeres' performance then, Leroy?
It's tough.
Talk me through it.
It's tough going into that Arsenal side because there are tactical things that you need to be aware of. And I honestly feel that that he wants to run down the sides, and Arsenal don't do that too often. But when he runs down the sides, he can do this. He can get hold of the ball. He's strong. And he can bring people into the game. But Arsenal don't do that. They want to play through the lines. And, you saw when Havertz came on, Havertz is aware of what Arteta demands tactically. So I thought they looked better with Havertz.
Havertz a technically more gifted player, though? Very different players, aren't they?
I think he's a very clever player, Havertz. But what I will say about Gyökeres is that I think him and Odegaard will create a really good relationship because eventually Odegaard will realise that every time Victor's going to run beyond and he's going to give him that option and create space for him.
That's his 22 touches yesterday. I mean, we wouldn't have expected that, surely, would we? With his goal-scoring record over the last few seasons, you'd expect him to have far more touches in the opposition box than that, and certainly more threatening. He didn't even have a shot, did he?
Well, I think it was the first time he'd not had a shot in 69 league games since 2023.
Right? Wow.
But I feel really harsh saying that's a reflection on his game and not the team's game.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've watched him in Portugal. It was almost a goal a game. You know, he's been scoring. But look, 60 minutes played, no shots, successful passes, 4 touched in boxes, box 3. But you know what? They came out and they got the 3 points.
Exactly, and that was the most important thing, wasn't it? I mean, it sets a marker down. From what we've seen over the course of the weekend, are Arsenal title contenders again? Are they going to have enough this time to get over the line? They finished second 3 years, right?
You know, I don't know, but they're definitely contenders. You know, I think they're in that 4 that I've got, like Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea and Arsenal. I think they'll be contenders. There's absolutely no doubt about it. When they do pick up injuries, I think they've got the depth to deal with that. What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, contenders, without any doubt. I think Mikel Arteta came out with a really interesting stat. Was it the most points in the last 3 Premier League seasons combined? So they're thereabouts. Can the number 9 be the difference?
I was going to say, is Gyökeres the difference?
I honestly don't think he will be.
Right.
And that's nothing to do with Victor. I just think that other teams have done so well in the transfer market.
Let's talk Manchester United then. Now, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, Roy Keane, bloke I saw in the corner shop the other day, all saying United need a new keeper. Are they going to get one?
Easier said than done, Mike. It's going to be difficult to get a deal done to bring a new goalkeeper in at Manchester United. We're now officially less than 2 weeks left in this transfer window, aren't we?
Is the timing the issue?
It's partly that, but also, does Ruben Amorim want a new goalkeeper? So you've got a situation here. There was talk earlier in this transfer window when there were major doubts over Andre Onana's future. He then got injured during pre-season. So effectively ruled him out of a move because he was injured. So he was going to be out until the start of the season, people thought. So he wasn't going to get much of a pre-season in. And publicly at least, Ruben Amorim has said that he is backing the 3 goalkeepers that he's got. Andre Onana, Altay Bayindir and Tom Heaton. Now, there was lots of conjecture yesterday when the team was announced for Manchester United's game against Arsenal and the squad was announced. Andre Onana nowhere to be seen. They interviewed Ruben Amorim before the game. Why isn't he there? Well, is he injured? Is he not fit? No, he's fit. So everyone assumed that Andre Onana had been dropped. He played that down later simply by saying, look, he's hardly had any training time, he's hardly had any game time, and that's why he chose Altay Bayindir ahead of him yesterday. Now, if an offer in these last 2 weeks was to come in for Onana that Manchester United maybe couldn't refuse, then there's the possibility that they would try and see if there's a keeper available that they can bring in. But at the moment, it would be very, very difficult because there's been no offers for Andre Onana and there's no sign at this stage that Andre Onana wants to leave Manchester United anyway.
There's quite a good goalkeeper hanging around available. Donnarumma, why don't they just buy him?
Good question. I mean, arguably he's the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. PSG have made it clear that they are going to sell him in the next 2 weeks. Having said that, even though he's only got a year left on his contract, PSG is still looking for around 40 to 50 million euros. So that is around 40 million pounds. Now, he's also on big wages. The information we have is that Manchester United, Manchester City have not been in contact with his representatives. Now, potentially that could change, as Dharmesh said. If United were to sell Onana, then potentially maybe they'd pick up the phone and contact Donnarumma's representatives. But even then, it'd be very, very complicated because there's the big transfer fee and there's his big wages as well. And you'd have to convince him, I think in United's case, to move to Manchester United because he wouldn't have any European football. And he's going from the Champions League champions. That wouldn't be a case at City. But of course, City would also need to sell somebody like Edison, but they've just signed a very, very good goalkeeper as well. So I hear what people are saying about Donnarumma. He's available. Why doesn't somebody go out and sign him? It's not quite as simple as that.
I'm going to use the B word, brinkmanship. It was less than 2 weeks to go. I think PSG and Gianluigi Donnarumma are probably looking at each other and just having a staring contest. Who's going to blink first here? Simply because PSG, on one side of it, know that Gianluigi Donnarumma needs to play because there's a World Cup next summer. Whereas Gianluigi Donnarumma is thinking, I'm not going to rush anywhere until the project is right. and PSG, he knows PSG want to sell him. So the later this goes in the transfer window, could there be a situation where you get into the final few days and there's a situation where PSG think we're not going to get the big transfer fee that we wanted. He's only got a year left on his contract, but if we even loan him for this season or even let him go for free in this transfer window, we actually end up getting rid of the wages as well, because you're looking at 15 to 17 million pounds of a saving that they'll make, rather than that other bit of brinkmanship where they don't do a deal for him. He'll be the number 2 goalkeeper. He won't play, and yet he'll be paid this huge wage.
Where's your gut? What do you think will happen?
I think he'll go. I think a few things still have to happen, though. Particularly, we keep hearing about Manchester City, and there's this interest from Galatasaray in Ederson. Now, if that one wants to come to fruition, there is a chance that Manchester City might approach PSG and Gianluigi Donnarumma's representatives. But as Carve said there hasn't been any approach to his representatives at this stage. That's because the 2 clubs that we keep talking about, the 2 Manchester clubs, have still got a full complement of goalkeepers in their department. So until that changes, Donnarumma is not going to go to either of those clubs. But the closer we get to the end of the window, because over the weekend, I think a lot of eyes were on the Manchester City squad as well. And Ederson had a stomach bug. That's why he missed that game. Then you've also got to think about what James Trafford must be thinking. He starts the game, he thinks he's the number 1, and then if they suddenly go for Gianluigi Donnarumma, where does that leave him?
Exactly. All right, let's...
And Manchester United, their opponents today, Carlos Baleba from Brighton, a player that's been linked for quite some time now to Manchester United. Any movement on that, David?
They explored it initially through intermediaries and then directly in conversations with Brighton. But Manchester United are not planning to proceed with that potential transfer, largely because he's not for sale. That's Brighton's perspective. The price would be too high even if they were to consider his sale this summer. But that doesn't mean Manchester United's interest goes away, maybe in the summer of 2026. Baleba was up for the move. Personal terms wouldn't have been a problem, but he didn't agitate for a move away from Brighton. So we'll see if Manchester United bring in an alternative number 6, because that is on the agenda. However, if they do at expense, that may affect the Baleba pursuit in the future. They've been linked to the likes of Hjulmand at Sporting Lisbon, of Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace. I'm not sure those are likely to come to fruition at this moment in time. They want to get players out of here. Andrea Nana is an interesting situation. They would look for a new goalkeeper, but there's no sign of him going at the moment. Garnacho, good chance he goes to Chelsea. Jadon Sancho, Roma in talks club to club, but he hasn't decided. Rasmus Højlund, his time here looks to be coming towards an end. He's not involved today. Terrell Malacia also could leave the club. Many have looked at United signings, very impressive by the way, and Mbuemo, Cunha and Sesko. Sesko wasn't their top target, but he's been high on the agenda for a long time and they're very pleased with that. We'll see how he gets on today. How have they done all this business? Well, they had some funds available. They also have January 2026 and the summer of 2026 up until June 30th to try and get players out and balance the books. They've got a credit facility they can extend. They also managed to get Marcus Rashford's wages away from Old Trafford and sell-on clauses in the case of Elanga and Carreras. So they are making things work, but the ambition here at Old Trafford is to keep activity going in, possibly out, definitely, before that window shuts on September the 1st.